The next water pollutant is inorganic plant and algal nutrients. We have discussed this in previous example too, that these chemicals such as nitrogen and phosphorus, they are released as a byproduct. For example, as a byproduct of domestic use, from the fertilizers, from the agriculture wastes, they are released in a natural water body, and there they act as a nutrient for photosynthetic plants, for example algae. तो इसके रिजल्ट में एल्गी जो है वो बहुत रैपिडली ग्रो करती है और उसमें वहाँ पर उसकी बायोलॉजिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड जो है वो इंक्रीज हो जाती है. रिजल्टेंटली डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन फॉर अदर स्पीशीज इज रिड्यूस्ड, so it suffocates the other species in that water body. So this is harmful in large concentration. Inorganic plant and algal nutrients के जो sources हैं, these are human and animal wastes, plant residues, atmospheric deposition of nitrogen, and the soil deposition of phosphorus, and similarly fertilizer runoff through the water cycle. It is being added up in the water bodies, so it is causing enrichment of the nutrients in water body. It is causing bad odor, and it is increasing biological oxygen demand because the biomass in that water body is increasing, so it is consuming more oxygen. Organic compounds are other type of water pollutants. So these are the chemicals that contain carbon atoms, and they are present both naturally and they are made by humans as well. So the natural examples are sugars, amino acids. Addition of any natural compound which contains these carbons in water, it is acting as a water pollutant. But the human made are pesticides and different solvents and different industrial wastes, different chemicals which are containing carbon, and the most threatening group of carbon compound is plastic. So plastic is a very dangerous compound which is produced in huge quantities all over the world, and it can't be degraded easily, not at least for 60 years. So the dumping of this plastic in our environment is extremely dangerous for the species, both in the water, both in the landfill, anywhere. And these release of these plastics in the water bodies, especially in the oceans, this is very dangerous for the marine life. And there are certain regions, certain zones in oceans and seas which are completely dead because of the presence of undegradable plastics. And the one common example, rather I should say one frightening example of these dead zone is the Great Pacific Patch of Garbage. So let's study this Great Pacific Patch of Garbage, which is a dead zone for any kind of animal life, with the help of this video. Inorganic chemical, that is another type of water pollutants. It contaminates with the help of those elements which are not organic. They don't contain the carbon as the main constituent of their molecular structure. So these are the inorganic chemicals which are present in the form of acids and salts, and there are different heavy metals. And these compounds or inorganic compounds, they are released mostly from the agriculture and industrial wastes. And they don't degrade easily, so they are staying in our environment once they are released there. Especially the heavy metals, they are extremely toxic for the animal life. For example, the lead, which is found in the old paints, industrial pollutants, and leaded gasoline. So once the lead is released in the waters, it would stay there for a very long time and it would damage the body tissues, particularly gills of fishes and their muscles and liver. Mercury is another example of these heavy metals. So the mercury, it is very dangerous because it bioaccumulates. Bioaccumulation means they are swallowed or they are ingested by the animals, and then it would stay inside their body tissues for the long time. And if the animal is eaten by the other consumer, that amount of mercury, it would be transferred into its body. So they are present mostly in the trough predators. They are transferred to the other members of different trophic levels as well, and they are not going to be degraded. Radioactive substances, they contain the atoms of unstable radioactive isotopes and they emit spontaneously radioactive radiations. So there are multiple radioactive compounds which are present in our soil. Mostly our soil or the natural environment is the source of radioactive substances. But how these radioactive substances which are buried inside the soil, इनको ज़मीन पर लाने में जो सबसे बड़ा रोल चीज़ प्ले करती है, that is the mining. So mining involves a lot of digging. During this process of digging, they bring these radioactive substances out, and sometimes they just release it as a waste material in water and in landfills. इसके अलावा ऐसे जो मशीन्स है या ऐसे इंडस्ट्रियल यूनिट्स हैं विच आर प्रोसेसिंग रेडियोएक्टिव मटेरियल्स, उनकी जो बाई प्रोडक्ट्स हैं या वाटर एज अ बाई प्रोडक्ट है, दैट इज फुल ऑफ रेडियोएक्टिव पोल्यूटेंट्स. न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट से रिलीज होने वाला वेस्ट मटेरियल, इट वुड कंटेन द रेडियोएक्टिव सब्सटेंसेस एज वेल, एंड सिमिलरली देयर आर डिफरेंट नेचुरल सोर्सेज विच आर रिलीजिंग दीज रेडियोएक्टिव सब्सटेंसेस इन आवर वाटर्स. थर्मल पोल्यूशन इज वन टाइप ऑफ पोल्यूशन जिसमें कि हम एक ऐसा वाटर एड अप कर रहे हैं अपनी नेचुरल वाटर रिजर्व्स में विच इज वार्मर एज कंपेयर टू द नेचुरल वाटर्स. सो ये वाटर, दिस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द इंडस्ट्रीज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वाटर एंड पल्प इंडस्ट्री, फॉर एग्जाम्पल हाइड्रोथर्मल यूनिट्स, जहाँ पे वाटर जो है वो हीट अप हुआ होता है और इसको डायरेक्टली नेचुरल बॉडी रिजर्व्स में, स्पेशली सीज और ओशंस में डायरेक्टली रिलीज कर दिया जाता है. So once it is released, it would increase the temperature of that habitat, and organisms living in that habitat, they would be badly affected by thermal pollution, because mostly वो animals जो कि उस environment में रह रहे हैं, these are ectothermic animals and it is hard for them to maintain their body temperature. And similarly high temperature वहाँ पे मौजूद vegetation की growth को भी affect करेगा, और which is the basic trophic level in any food chain. So resultantly, remaining trophic levels of food webs, they would be directly or indirectly affected. इसके साथ साथ टेम्परेचर रिप्रोडक्टिव साइकिल्स के रेट को अफेक्ट करता है. इट अफेक्ट्स द रेट ऑफ डाइजेशन एंड इट अफेक्ट्स द रेट ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन. एंड वी नो कि जैसे ही किसी वाटर की बॉडी का टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज होना शुरू होता है, उसमें ऑक्सीजन रिटेन करने की या उसमें सॉलिबिलिटी ऑफ ऑक्सीजन इज रिड्यूस्ड बिकॉज ऑक्सीजन इज बबल्ड आउट. और ये लो लेवल ऑफ डिजॉल्व्ड ऑक्सीजन, दैट इज ऑब्वियसली नॉट गुड फॉर द लाइफ प्रेजेंट इन दैट water body. So the thermal pollution, it is increasing. Here we can see in this graph that water temperature is increasing and it has an indirect negative effect on dissolved oxygen capacity of water. So increase in temperature, reduced is solubility of water in solubility of oxygen in the water. Water pollution from agriculture. So agriculture is leading source of water pollution. Animal wastes and plant residues which have a high biological oxygen demand plus chemical pesticides, these leach into groundwater. Even if they are not released in a water body, they are just dumped in a landfill, still there would be a process of leaching, और उस leaching से ये filter करते हुए soil particles में underground water table तक पहुंच जाते हैं, और यूं underground water भी इनसे contaminate हो जाता है. So almost all the streams, सारे rivers, कोई भी lake ऐसी नहीं है जो कि polluted ना हो because of these water pollutants. Industrial and municipal wastes in water. Different industries, they generate different types of pollutants. उनमें से बहुत से जो है वो हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किए हैं. different food processing plants, they are increasing the biological oxygen demand because they are releasing nutrients in the water. इसके अलावा paper and pulp mills की जो by product है, they are adding this in our water bodies and they are adding the toxic compounds in the water. हार्डली ही कुछ ऐसी इंडस्ट्रीज होंगी जो कि इन कंपाउंड्स को या अपनी वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स को किसी भी वाटर रिजर्व में रिलीज करने से पहले उसकी प्रॉपर रिसाइकलिंग कर लें और उन टॉक्सिक कंपाउंड्स को उसमें से रिमूव कर लें. मोस्टली वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स एज सच ही सीज में, दरियाओं के अंदर या लेक्स के अंदर डंप कर दी जाती हैं.